A woman with mobility issues saved from a house fire today in Southwest D.C. Look at all that damage. Fire investigators are on the scene looking into the blaze that came from the rear of the home on the first floor. This happening west of 296 on the 4000 block of First Street. The woman was brought to the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. She's going to be okay.
Well, we continue to learn more now about a terrible accident that claimed the life of a D.C. fire and EMS cadet.
Sadia Williams died after falling from a rooftop terrace while celebrating her graduation with classmates. Fox 5's Bob Barnard is live in Southwest with this heartbreaking story and all the details. Bob?
Yeah, hey there, guys. We are outside the firehouse that Sadia Williams was assigned to. This is Engine Company 13 here in Southwest D.C. And you see they have just put black bunting over the garage doors here. They've just finished placing this here just now. And if you look to the left here, you can see the American and D.C. flags are flying at half-staff today. Now, Sadia Williams was just 21 years old, a firefighter EMT, part of the D.C. Fire and EMS cadet class that just graduated last Friday. That's when this photo was taken. Williams was apparently celebrating with other cadets at a 4-story townhouse on 16th Street Northeast when she fell from the rooftop around 1 in the morning Saturday. The roof is surrounded by metal fencing. D.C. police say they do not believe foul play was involved, though the circumstances are still under investigation. We spoke to a woman who lives across the street and witnessed the aftermath. It's an image she says she can't get out of her head.
It's sad because even seeing online, this young lady had a promising future, and now it's gone.
I have family who are firefighters as well, and they go through so much that they deserve to be praised. And someone who wants to be a part of that, want to go in and every day risk their lives to save someone else is a beautiful thing. But to lose your life so early and haven't even gotten a chance to truly find out who you are, what is your calling in life, what else you can do in this world, it's truly tragic.
Now, Sadia Williams graduated with her cadet class last week. They are all D.C. high school graduates. The ceremony was recorded on video. We're told the cadets still have 2 more weeks of training at the D.C. Fire Academy before going to their firehouses. Dave Hoagland is president of the D.C. Firefighters Union.
This is incredibly tragic news. You know, she had just graduated on Friday and she was celebrating with her classmates. And it's just a really tough loss for the department and all DC firefighters. We deployed our peer support team down to the training academy today to sit with their class and talk through things and their feelings and just to make sure that everybody's processing everything.
Now, we are told Sadia Williams' remains are still at the medical examiner's office, which is right across the street here. Again, this is the firehouse she was to be assigned to. And although this was not an in-service or, an online in-duty death, we're told her send-off will have full honors. Guys, here we go.
Senate Bill 7.
There are no words that can capture the horror and the evil of this unspeakable act. Children are dead. There are families that have a deceased child. You cannot put into words the gravity, the tragedy, or the absolute pain of this situation. We are a Minneapolis family. But to everybody out there, do not think of these as just somebody else's kids. Those families are suffering immense pain right now. Think of this as if it were your own. Every one of us needs to be wrapping our arms around these families, giving them every ounce that we can muster. These were Minneapolis families. These were American families. And the amount of pain that they are suffering right now is extraordinary. And don't just say this is about thoughts and prayers right now. These kids were literally praying. It was the first week of school. They were in a church. These are kids that should be learning with their friends. They should be playing on the playground. They should be able to go to school or church in peace without the fear or risk of violence, and their parents should have the same kind of assurance. These are the sort of basic assurances that every family should have, every step of the day, regardless of where they are in our country. I'm so deeply saddened and I'm so sorry to the families that I know are suffering right now. My ask is to everyone, stand by them, love them. These families have forever been changed, and we've all been changed with them. We need to do everything possible to support them through this time. We have a family resource center that has been set up. I'm grateful for all of the law enforcement agencies from a number of different jurisdictions, and all the different departmental support that we've received. They're going to be working tirelessly. There's also a family resource center that is being set up as we speak to make sure that we're there for everybody. Again, to the families that are suffering, to those that have experienced loss, I'm so deeply sorry. We're going to be with you every step of the way. We love you. This kind of act of evil should never happen, and it happens far too often. The chief will provide additional details.
My name is Brian O'Hara, B-R-I-A-N, O''H-A-R-A. I am the Minneapolis Police Chief. Earlier today, just before 8:30 a.m., our city experienced an unthinkable tragedy. Minneapolis police officers responded to a report of a shooting at a mass that was happening at the Annunciation Roman Catholic Church on the block behind me. This worship service was marking the first week of school for children that are attending the Annunciation Catholic School. During the Mass, a gunman approached on the outside, on the side of the building, and began firing a rifle through the church windows towards the children sitting in the pews at the Mass. Shooting through the windows, he struck children and worshipers that were inside the building. The shooter was armed with a rifle, a shotgun, and a pistol. This was a deliberate act of violence against innocent children and other people worshiping. The sheer cruelty and cowardice of firing into a church full of children is absolutely incomprehensible. Police officers from the Minneapolis Police Department immediately responded, entered the church, and attempted to provide first aid and rescue some of the children that were hiding throughout the building, while other first responders came and EMS responded to rush victims to nearby hospitals. 2 young children, ages 8 and 10, were killed where they sat in the pews. Their parents have been notified. 17 other people were injured, 14 of them being children. 2 of those children are in critical condition. The coward who fired these shots ultimately took his own life in the rear of the church. Our hearts are broken for the families who have lost their children, for these young lives that are now fighting to recover, and for our entire community that has been so deeply traumatized by this senseless attack. We will stand together to protect our children, our schools, and our houses of worship. This deliberate act of violence is just a sign of cruelty that is beyond comprehension. Our hearts are broken for everyone that's been affected by this tragedy. As we begin the difficult path of healing, I want the community to know this, that even in the face of such evil, the Minneapolis Police Department and all of our law enforcement partners stand with our community. We stand with these families and with this parish. We will continue to be here for you. With that, the investigation is obviously in its preliminary stages, and I will attempt to take some questions to provide further information.
Chief, what can you tell us about this?
3 bounty hunters are facing felony charges accused of kidnapping a man they thought was a capital murder suspect.
Well, it turns out he wasn't. Fox 4's David Centenary live tonight spoke with a man who was pulled from his family's garage and then thrown in a U-Haul. David.
Yeah, the bounty hunters thought they had their murder suspect here in Richardson, but it turns out they had the wrong guy. The real suspect is believed to be 7,000 miles away.
They said, "What's your name?" I said, "Hussein Al-Sadi."
Who is Hussein Al-Sadi, a 22-year-old aspiring barber whose family immigrated to the United States from Iraq in 2012? A more pressing question, who is he not? Well, he's not 23-year-old Hussein Al-Sadi, who federal investigators say is on the run in Iraq after cutting his ankle monitor while out on bond for capital murder by terroristic threat in Dallas.
Did you know this person at all?
No, I never met him in my life.
Never even heard of him?
Never.
Still, 3 bounty hunters now face felony charges, including kidnapping, for wrongfully apprehending Al-Sadi, thinking he was the murder suspect.
I'm a professional.
Alan Hinton, the leader of the 3 bounty hunters. We'll get back to him momentarily.
They just assumed that it was me, but obviously they had the wrong guy.
Al-Sadi was cutting a client's hair inside his family's garage in Richardson on June 1st. That's when a U-Haul van drove up. 3 black males jumped out with guns and took Al-Sadi, according to an arrest warrant affidavit.
They threw 2 stun grenades and they just started aiming AR-15s on my head and to my brother's head.
Home surveillance video motioning on only as the U-Haul drives away with Al-Sadi inside.
They said, "You're wanted for capital murder by terrorism." I actually started laughing because I was like, oh my God, yeah, I have the wrong person.
An arrest warrant says 3 bounty hunters working for the security firm, the Clandestine Group, were contracting for Brigham Home bail bonds to serve a warrant to Hussein Al-Sadi. Al-Sadi had posted a $500,000 bond through Brigham Home after being charged in a capital murder at a suspected drug operation in northwest Dallas in February 2024.
We refer to ourselves as fugitive recovery agents.
Alan Hinton and his team told Richardson police through months of intel and confidential informants, he and the Brigham Home bail bonds company thought Hussein Al-Sadi was their target. They had a 79% facial recognition match using an AI tool, according to an arrest affidavit. When Al-Sadi maintained his innocence, the bounty hunters contacted local police.
We instantly made those calls to Richardson PD.
So when did they ultimately realize that they had the wrong person?
After the fingerprint.
Richardson police detained Al-Sadi until a detective on the FBI's task force arrived with a mobile fingerprinting device. The results showed Hussein Al-Sadi was who he said he was and was not the subject of the warrant.
Everybody surrounded me in a circle, just waiting for the results.
Yeah.
And obviously after the results, the officer told them, yeah, this is not him. And that's when you just see them get back in the U-Haul truck and then just drive off.
A Richardson police detective spoke with the Dallas County District Attorney's Office and U.S. Marshals, both advising the detective that the capital murder suspect fled to Iraq after breaking an ankle monitor in August 2024. The U.S. Marshals say no one from Brigham Home bail bonds reached out regarding the case, and if they had, Marshals would have said this Al-Sadi was the wrong guy.
I would just hope they actually check their information before they go do that and traumatize a family.
Hinton says Brigham Home bail bonds provided background information on the suspect, and with that information and additional research, his team identified this Al-Sadi. Hinton says he's not a criminal.
It's just not who I am.
Just someone trying to make a living while doing a community service.
And I do believe right now law enforcement is overworked, and I do believe in having positive interactions with law enforcement and being able to assist them. You know, I do a hard job, and without qualified immunity, it makes things a lot harder for us.
Hinton's attorney says his client was just doing his job.
My client has no criminal history at all. He was executing this warrant based on the law that's out there.
Al-Sadi's attorney says that job comes with heavy responsibility.
And that cannot be taken lightly and cannot be callously, oops, I got the wrong guy.
Al-Sadi says the encounter makes him think of his father.
I saw tears coming out of his eyes.
He says his family left Iraq after 2 of his uncles were kidnapped and killed, his father wanting safety for his family.
I feel like I'm gonna cry, because my dad already been through a lot. Sorry.
While thinking of what could have happened to his father, mother, brother, and special needs sister had the encounter at their home been worse, Al Sadi too emotional to finish our interview.
If we could take a minute, please.
So we've reached out to Brigham Home Bail Bonds Company several times since we began looking into this story. And at this point in time, they have declined all of our requests for comment or any sort of on-camera interview. We will let you know if things change. Now, the name Devin Allard Carter, he is one of the 3 bounty hunters who is also charged. The 3rd suspect still on the run, according to Richardson Police Department. Lastly, we mentioned that Hussein was giving a haircut to a client in his garage when all this went down. If you're wondering what happened to that client, well, according to police documents, it turns out that client was an undercover informant working for those bounty hunters. Steve and Heather, back to y'all.
As Gary's police chief gave him an ultimatum days after he was sworn in: cut your braids in 24 hours or be terminated. He says he thought the department would allow him to keep his hair because of his religion, but he was fired the next day. Tonight he is calling for change and his job back. These cornrow braids that Chance Johnson has been growing for more than 4 years are the subject of what he calls an unjust move by the Gary Police Department. Johnson says he was fired last month because he wouldn't cut his hair.
It represents strength. It allows me to represent myself and my faith and myself as a person.
Johnson says he practices the Rastafarian religion. He says hair is seen as a symbol of strength, identity, and pride, and cutting it would go against his religious beliefs.
When black people were brought over to America, one of the first things that was done was their hair was cut off to strip them from the identity. It represents my faith and what I stand for.
Johnson, his wife, and 4 kids moved from Dallas to Gary for the officer position. He says he passed every test and was offered the job.
I wanted to be that police officer that if I seen something wrong going on, I can step in and do the right thing.
A Gary City Council member posted this photo on Facebook showing Johnson and the new recruits during their swearing-in ceremony. That day, Johnson says the commander told him the chief had a problem with his hair.
I said, okay, sir, I had no idea that this could be a problem, but I do have a religious accommodation form that I wanted to submit to you. And he didn't say anything else. He just said, okay, I'll talk to you after the ceremony.
Johnson says he contacted HR right away to seek a religious accommodation to keep his hair. About a week later, Johnson says the police chief scheduled a meeting with him, stating he had 24 hours to cut his braids or he'd be terminated, citing safety reasons.
If it's about safety, why is it that the females get to keep their hair? And then that's when he told me that he didn't have to answer my questions, and now this is getting to be more of an argument, and he wasn't having it.
Johnson says he was fired the next day. He believes his civil rights were violated, citing Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. Title VII prohibits private, state, and local government employers with 15 or more employees from discriminating on the basis of race, sex, national origin, and religion.
He said in the state of Indiana, they don't have to accommodate religious requests. I never heard of anything like that.
I reached out to the city of Gary and the Gary Police Department. A spokesperson for the city of Gary responded by saying, quote, "The city of Gary can confirm this is a personnel matter that we are reviewing. We are committed to fair treatment of all employees and compliance with applicable employment laws." Johnson says he wants Gary PD to be held accountable and he wants his job back, but not if it means cutting his hair.
It's nice and neat and professional looking. I don't think anybody should be terminated for their religious beliefs, especially when it's not doing any harm to anybody around them.
Johnson says he has not heard from the Gary Police Department since he was fired last month, but he is still hopeful for a resolution. As for where things stand today, the city of Gary told me it cannot provide additional details about individual personnel matters at this time.
Take a look at your screen. Content partners in that area say North Carolina County Elections Chair is accused of putting cocaine and MDMA in his granddaughter's ice cream. A lot to discuss and a very odd story we are heading to. Viewer discretion is advised. I do want to share the very latest from law enforcement.
As you know, I'm going to correct the date. Is doesn't change anything with the case. In the initial release I put out August 8th, an officer was flagged down at the Sheets at the corner of Shipyard Boulevard and Independence. It was actually August 3rd, so that's my mistake. But on August 3rd, a patrol officer was flagged down at the Sheets gas station at the corner of Shipyard Boulevard and Independence, and was advised that 2 teenage girls had located some pills in their blizzards, which is, as you probably know, is an ice cream product you can get from Dairy Queen. There were paramedics that were already there at the Sheets. They weren't specifically called for this incident. In fact, that's actually why we believe that they stopped there. The paramedics checked them out. It did not appear that the juveniles had ingested any of the foreign substances that were located in their ice creams. The officer confiscated the pills. A presumptive field test was conducted on those pills. We'll talk about that here in a little bit too if you have questions. The field test is presumptive in nature. Okay, it's not a laboratory test. That comes later. That is in progress right now as we speak. Based on the presumptive test and the totality of everything going on, safe to say one thing led to another. Report was taken. That report was forwarded up to our criminal investigations division, which any report that has follow-up factors is forwarded up to them. A detective began investigating the case. Obviously that involves going to the scene of the crime, talking to those involved. During that investigation, surveillance video was discovered and handed over to the Wilmington Police Department that clearly shows Mr. Yoakley placing the pills in the ice cream. Based on that, other things discovered in the investigation, that detective pursued charges against Mr. Yoakley. It was on the 26th that he came to the police station and was taken into custody, and those warrants that have been taken out and were served. And then he was transported to the jail, the New Hanover County Detention Center. He was given a $100,000 secured bond by the magistrate and was able to post bond and is currently out on bail right now. That's kind of where we're at right now. I think most of that information is probably already known. I know various outlets have obtained court paperwork through the clerk's office as public record and gleaned other information there. So if there are any questions you guys have, I'll try to answer them, and I also have my help over here that can potentially answer or clarify anything that you may be curious about. I'll open it up.
I think I probably know the answer, but will you guys be releasing that footage?
No, we're not going to release it. The case has to go to court, and once it goes to court and is presented as evidence and the case is adjudicated, there's a potential then. But no, we won't be releasing it prior.
Have you guys found exactly where Yoakley got the pills from?
Don't believe so. Like the source, no. No.
Are you all able to say what type of narcotics were found?
Kevin, do you want to kind of...
The pills that were received...
Come on up here so they can...
No, it's fine. The pills that were received that night were tested in a field test, which is not conclusive. It just gives the officer an idea of what we could be dealing with, especially for narcotics or poison or anything like that. So the presumptive test showed that it had the same compounds as other drugs. It may very well not be those drugs when it comes back from a lab. So that's where we are right now. So for us to say it's not absolute as to what it was, it definitely was a pill because it was wet. The markings weren't readable. So we're not going to jump to conclusions. We only listed the type of drugs that were, I think, released in the warrant because that's what they tested for in the street, but it may turn out to be something else.
So the street field tests basically are designed to test for compounds that make up illegal narcotics or narcotics in general. So it indicates the compounds, the chemical compounds that are there. So there's no question, we're talking about drugs here. It's just getting to the point where it's isolated, identifying exactly what drugs are there. That's in progress right now with the lab.
Would it have been a lethal dose?
Hard to say. Not being a medical professional and not knowing specifics, how different folks metabolize things, I really can't say whether it would be lethal or not. There was not a huge amount, and I know that's kind of a broad term there, but yeah, I mean, it wasn't. We're talking 1 pill per container. So, and I don't know what the milligrams come up to be or anything like that. Again, a lot of that stuff's gonna depend on the lab findings.
Well, now at 5, a Fox 26 exclusive. Imagine this, being robbed at gunpoint right outside of your own home in the middle of the day.
That's what happened to a man in Aldine, and it was all caught on camera. Fox 26 is live outside of the Houston Police Department where officers are investigating the case. That's where we also find Jillian Hartman. So what did the victim tell you, Jillian?
Well, the victim tells me that he just moved into a new house. He was really excited about a fresh start, but after he was robbed at gunpoint in his own driveway, he's sharing his story only with Fox 26, hoping that police catch the suspect soon.
I wanted this to be a really fresh, new, exciting start for me, but right now it feels like the complete opposite. I feel very scared, I feel very uncomfortable. This happened on my property where I should feel the safest, and I'm extremely afraid.
Marcus Francis spoke exclusively with Fox 26 about a terrifying moment all caught on surveillance video. He said Wednesday afternoon around 4 o'clock, he just got home, was cleaning his car in his driveway along Canino Road when a man walked up asking about the neighborhood. Marcus says they chatted for about 5 minutes. He had no idea what was about to happen next.
I go back to cleaning my car, and that's where everything just kind of takes a turn for the worst. I'm cleaning my car, I turn around, and there's a gun pointed directly in my face, like directly here in my face. I'm like freaking out. Of course, I think I'm gonna die. I like immediately jump back reaction-wise because it's a gun pointed, and both hands he like had this strong grip, like he was so ready to use it, and he's pointing it directly in my face, like just relax. And I'm looking through the barrel of the gun, I can see directly at the hole, and I'm just freaking out. Like my heart is pounding, my hands go up immediately. I'm just so scared.
Marcus says a second man shows up, an accomplice. Together, they force Marcus inside his house and robbed him.
They're forcing me inside the house. They tell me to go to the ground. They ask me for my wallet. They're like, give me your money. Give me any money you have. We want only cash. I give them my wallet. No resistance. Again, one guy has his foot on me. I'm just laying there. They're going through my wallet. They go through my car. The second guy goes through my car. He's going through my car. I tell them that honestly, I have nothing of value. I just moved in. All my stuff are in boxes. And they just had the gun on me the entire time. All I thought to myself was like, I'm going to die. I'm really going to die right here in front of my house. Right now.
After the men took off, Marcus locked the door and called 911. He hopes his story helps police catch the men responsible. Now, Houston police here tell me that they are investigating this case, and anyone with information, call HPD or Crime Stoppers at 713-222-TIPS. Reporting live, I'm Jillian Hartman, Fox 26 News.
As police now searching for the shooter who gunned down a man in Hallandale Beach, and we've learned that victim was a local rapper. Local 10's Rochlo has the latest now from that scene.
We saw Hallandale Beach police out here throughout the day investigating, trying to solve this case where a young man, 25 years old, had his life taken. According to witnesses, he was a rapper. We did look into his history. He has been arrested in the past. But police say this is very much an ongoing investigation. Hallandale Beach police still on the scene Friday morning, searching for clues, going door to door, trying to solve a murder. Bullets flying Thursday night, and this guy says bullets hit his house. So last night, anoche, you'll hear, right? Bullet holes. You live here. Boom, boom, boom. See? He says, I took off and I hid in the bathroom because I heard way too many shots fired. It all happened on the 500 block of Northwest 6th Avenue. 25-year-old Brandon Wamley was transported to a nearby hospital. He passed away. A lot of bullets, mucho.
Mucho balazo, se escuchó mucho rafagazo.
Witnesses say the victim is a rapper known as Wham Spin the Bin. We also checked, and it appears he does have a criminal history in Broward County with charges of cannabis possession, stalking, writing a threat to kill. Hollandale Beach police say this was an isolated incident and that the victim and suspect were acquainted, but they also say the case remains very active and the investigation continues. In the meantime, neighbors reacting to what they saw Thursday evening.
You could say that it is scary because you see police in the middle of the night. You was wondering what's going on, you know? You make you wonder what's going on in the neighborhood.
So as police continue their investigation, they want to stress they believe this was an isolated incident, that the victim actually knew the shooter in this case. If you have any information, pick up the phone and call Crime Stoppers. That number is 954-493-TIPS. In Hollandale Beach, I'm Rosh Lowe, Local 10 News.
Labor, abuse, and punishments of no food or sleep. That is what's in the indictment of two religious leaders with ties to Tampa Bay and what led FBI raids across several states today. Investigators are calling it a multi-million-dollar conspiracy led by David Taylor. He was arrested in North Carolina while Michelle Brannon was arrested at a home in the affluent Avila neighborhood of Tampa. Fox 13's Genevieve Curtis joins us in the newsroom after spending hours combing through the indictment outlining the scheme. Genevieve, what did you find?
Yeah, well, Haley, in the 23-page indictment, it is pretty clear that David Taylor, who calls himself an apostle, and his right hand, Michelle Brannon, are accused of running a modern-day slavery ring across 4 states for 10 years, forcing people to work without pay with severe consequences if they didn't, all while funding an extravagant lifestyle.
It's very surprising to hear that type of thing was going on again right in your backyard. Who would have known?
Early this morning, neighbors in Tampa's affluent Avila community watched stunned as FBI agents descended on this massive mansion. It's one of the homes where authorities say David Taylor and Michelle Brannon ran their multi-state operation, a forced labor and money laundering scheme under the guise of the Kingdom of God Global Church.
Some of you say, I don't have 100,000, but you have 20,000. You have 50,000 here, or you have 10,000.
The FBI raided the church's headquarters in Michigan and a church-owned building in Houston where 17 people were removed, some in handcuffs. A man who works next door says he noticed unusual activity, like people who appear trapped.
I think it's definitely some cult life activities because they said that there was like groups of families in there and not just like individuals.
Federal authorities say victims were trapped. They say Taylor and Brannon used unpaid workers at their 9 call centers, setting unrealistic quotas for donations. And when they failed, workers were subjected to humiliation, sleep deprivation, forced repentance, food restrictions, and physical assaults. The indictment includes text messages from Taylor referring to the Tampa group of workers not being allowed to sleep or eat until quotas were met. It also says the church claimed donations would go to build water wells in poor communities or support victims of human trafficking. Donors could not have known those forced to make those calls were themselves victims.
You really had every aspect of human trafficking. You had individuals who were, brought to a facility that they couldn't leave. They weren't being paid. They had production goals that they had to meet.
Instead, authorities say the money funded Taylor's extravagant lifestyle, including multiple mansions with pools and even a basketball court. They say the church received about $50 million in donations since 2014. All while the pair controlled nearly every aspect of the workers' lives, cutting them off from their family and forcing them to take contraceptives.
In paragraph 11, a very cryptic reference to women being required to use emergency contraceptives. And that's an indication to me that this indictment may not be complete.
The FBI also alleges victims were forced to apply for federal assistance and food stamps by claiming to be homeless and then turn that money over to Taylor and Brannon.
I hope it's not true, but if it is, he deserves everything he's going to get.
Now, from what we have learned today from federal authorities, it is still unclear how many victims there could be in this case and how many people may have been found in the home in Avila. Any victims of human trafficking would have been taken to St. Joseph's, where a federal command center was set up today. Brannon is set to be back in court in Tampa tomorrow. Reporting live in the newsroom, Genevieve Curtis, Fox 13 News.
All right, Genevieve, thank you. According to the federal grand jury indictment, the money raised by the victims was used to support Taylor's extravagant lifestyle and to enrich Brannon. The indictment lists a number of items purchased, including a Mercedes-Benz worth more than $63,000 in 2018, $70,000 for a down payment on a Bentley Continental the same year, more than $105,000 for a Crown Line boat in 2019, more than $31,000 for 5 ATVs, and nearly $50,000 for 4 jet skis and 2 trailers in 2021. The indictment also lists more than $123,000 for bulletproof automotive between May of last year and February of this year. You can find more information.
Handguns, assault rifles, and magazines of bullets. A stash of guns off the streets, and a Memphis man now facing 40 charges. Fox 13's investigative reporter Kayla Solomon found the suspect is no stranger to crime.
Calvin Briscoe is a career criminal. A judicial commissioner assigned his current case even said so. His criminal record goes back almost 2 decades, from aggravated robbery to criminal trespassing, then gun and drug possession. Fox 13 found Briscoe was charged with aggravated robbery back in 2007, and it was eventually dropped. In 2010, he was indicted in Eastern Arkansas for attempting to distribute crack cocaine, but then it was transferred to Tennessee. Briscoe was sentenced to 3 years in prison and 4 years of supervised release. But there were more drug arrests to come. In 2022 and 2023, Briscoe was caught with and arrested for possession of more drugs and guns, which was a felony since he was a convicted felon by then. Both times he was assigned a bail amount and was able to bond out. This time, Memphis police say they took 16 different guns, some of them with illegal switches on them. Officers say Briscoe is a known violent gang member, and 3 of the guns they found were stolen. Briscoe has not made his first court appearance yet, but a judicial commissioner has assigned him a current bail amount of $350,000. Kayla Solomon, Fox 13 investigates.
A couple of officers in Fort Worth are getting way more attention than they ever wanted.
Now, NBC5's Deborah Ferguson tells us about the selfie that went viral.
A quick selfie on July 31st was posted and reshared on local, state, and national sites, with comments ranging from "stay safe" to "which is which." Also, "dad still won't let the son drive," and more than one that bordered on flirtation. Going viral caught father and son off guard.
I don't have any social media, so I'm not on any platform. So I was just receiving texts, emails, just all kind of stuff. My son reached out to me and he said, "We went viral."
Now, I did not know that they were going to put that out there, but I thought it was very awesome.
This moment was years in the making. Dana Stevenson retired from the Navy, spending almost half the time as a reserve officer before joining the Fort Worth force full time.
It was a dream of mine. As a kid, I grew up watching a lot of cop shows, police, whether it be Bourne and Miller, Dick Tracy, Dragnet, Car 54, Where Are You? Just a lot of policing.
Serving community, making a difference, encouraging men of color to join policing were common topics growing up in the Stevenson home.
That was something I instilled in not just Kobe, but it's a bigger story because Kobe is my second son. My oldest son is a Keller police officer.
3 cops in one family. Dana was first. Antoine joined Keller 5 years ago. 4 years ago, Kobe joined Fort Worth.
I didn't always know I wanted to be a police, but obviously I watched my dad do it for 25 years. So, but I knew that I wanted to be something of service to my community.
But it doesn't stop there.
His mom wore the uniform too, not with us, but also with Tarrant County Sheriff's Office.
Dana Stevenson is a proud dad, sharing with us pictures of his 5 kids, his sons as they grew up, including the time he says they were young and confused, thinking they'd be firefighters, to the moment a few weeks ago when Kobe's transfer to a new division put him on the border with Keller and gave him a few moments with his brother. Of course, he also had to show off his granddaughter, Kobe's little girl. All of it testament to a father's legacy.
A lot of people don't ever end up in a profession that was a lifetime dream of theirs, let alone to see their kids follow the same pattern. So it's just been an amazing ride.
Which brings us back to that amazing moment in July and the photo that went viral, a father guiding his son, and the son shoulder to shoulder with the man who inspired him to wear the badge.
I definitely am surprised by all the love and support. I really appreciate it.
And I was in awe because I was just, in my mind, I'm just doing the dad thing. I'm just being the dad that I've always been to my sons, just being there, being involved in their life.
And there's something else in this picture people should see, especially those who joked about the dad not letting the son drive. The picture is a selfie, so what we see is reversed from what really happened that day. You can tell in the name badges here for Stevenson and Stevenson, they're reversed. It wasn't dad behind the wheel that day. Kobe was in the driver's seat, and he just wanted us to point it out. Deborah Ferguson, NBC5, Fort Worth.
And it won't be long before there are 3 Stevensons on the force in Fort Worth. Antoine's in the process of transferring from Keller.
Ooh.